something that's called tag team. Amen.
I tried to make her sit down today. This ain't my fault this time.
Right. I had one Sunday off and I'm back. Woo!
Let me get the white light over
We
here.
are very excited.
Glow worship. Glow worship on that word. Now let's read this word. We're going to be in Matthew 22, verses 1 through 14. You keep playing, Josh, till we done reading.
We need one light.
I don't know. I got to go back there and do it. Matthew 22, 1 through 14. Is it on the screen? Okay. Ooh, absolutely. Let's read it. We don't read it together. Just read along. Jesus spoke to them again in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his servants to those who had been invited to the banquet to tell them to come, but they refused. They refused. They don't got too much to do. I ain't going to that. That's what y'all do sometimes." Verse 4 says, "Then he sent some more servants and said, 'Tell those who have been invited that I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and fattened cattle have been butchered and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet.' But they paid no attention and went off, one to his field and another to his business." Skip down to verse 8 if you don't mind. It says, "Then he said, deserve to come. They didn't deserve to come. So go to the street corners, go and invite to the banquet anyone you find." So the servants went out to the streets and gathered all the people they could find, the bad as well as the good. And the wedding hall was filled with guests. I'm going somewhere with this. Verse 11 says, "But when the king came in to see the guests, he noticed a man there who was not wearing wedding clothes. He asked, 'How did you get in here without wedding clothes?' Then he called him friend. How did you get in here without wedding clothes, friend?" The man was speechless. Somebody say speechless.
Speechless.
Then the king told the attendants, "Tie him hand and foot and throw him outside into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And it goes on, and Jesus closes this parable and says this very popular statement. It says, "For many are called,
But chosen.
but few are chosen." Look at your neighbor and ask him, "Are you chosen?
Are you chosen?
Are you called?"
No.
Are you called? You may be
chosen.
seated in the sight of God.
Yes.
You may be seated in the sight of God. Today's message is really simple, but it's very profound to where we are as a church, where we're going as a church. And, 1 year in, a year and a couple of months, and God has done so much already. To God be the glory. And we're here, and I was just like, God, what are we doing right now? I'm seeing, we've declared this the year of
Expansion.
elevation. Of all my visitors, we declare this the year of elevation. But, when you hear the word elevation, the first thing you think about is, money, going up, getting more stuff, acquiring more real estate. I got my bankroll. You think about going up when it comes to the natural, but you sometimes forget about the supernatural. And sometimes what I'm seeing happen here at 3D churches, God has said, "I'm going to take y'all there. Y'all going to get money. Y'all going to get more land. Y'all going to have more opportunities. You're going to have some business investments. You're going to have all kinds of things this year. But before you can get to that stuff, I need you to go higher in me."
Amen.
I'm seeing the elevation of spiritual maturity in this church. When we once used to come and we had 3D glasses on, now we come and we just serve a 3D God. And we just give his man all the praise every time we see his presence. I see the maturity. I see the Bible being in the front of your book and not in the back. I see the Bible app on your phone right next to Facebook. Come on, somebody. I'm seeing spiritual elevation in God because we learned last week that elevation, promotion comes from heaven. It doesn't come from the east, the west, or the south. It never said the north, so that means you have to look up and get your elevation. So what I'm learning is that God said, "I'm going to elevate you, but in order for me to really promote you like you want to be promoted, you've got to connect to me and grow up in me." So as I was just thinking this week, like, what are you doing to us, God? What season are we in? What is next? What are you trying to say? He says, "Prepare for takeoff."
Ooh, I receive it.
Prepare for takeoff. Y'all see how I use the airplane as the T? Come on, somebody. I thought that was pretty cool. I give myself a kudos. But listen. So we're 2018 year of elevation and prepare for takeoff. I felt God saying this is the
receive
year
it, Lord.
For elevation. But in order to take off, there's some preparation that has to be taking place. There is some preparation. There's some growth that has to happen before I can give you a multitude. There's some leadership development that has to take place. So I'm seeing the challenge. This year you're gonna feel a little push. God says, I'm going to give you some resistance so I can build up your strength and you can be stronger. So this year you're going to see some pain and you're going to have to endure because God says, I need you to be strong when I send the next level to your life. So that's prepare for takeoff. Somebody say prepare for takeoff.
Prepare for takeoff.
So whatever you want to, I'm good. I'm just okay. All right. She's So okay. My daughter a couple of weeks ago. Maya, you in here? She in here? She done dipped out on me. Okay. She got on an airplane for the first time a couple of weeks ago. And long story, I didn't get on the plane with her, so I wish I could have been there. I was really upset that I wasn't her first plane ride, partner, co-rider, but it's okay, Anyway, so she took a plane ride. She was gifted a trip. And I was like, how was it? I'm dying to know her plane experience. I wasn't able to see it, so just tell me about it. The first thing she said to me, it was okay. It just took so long to get in the air. We just was just going and going. She's like, why did it take so long to get up? I had my seatbelt on. I was ready. Why did it take so long? And I just started thinking, what's funny? We want to go up, but see where we are right now, we're not in the right position.
Amen.
For takeoff.
Preach.
So God is saying, before I can send 300 people walking through these doors to fill these seats, I've got to get you ready to be able to receive them. That's some preparation that's happening. Y'all feeling it? That's some preparation.
So long. Sometimes God have to clear the runway.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's too much stuff that's in the way for you to actually get where you need to get to the altitude that you need to be so that you can take off safely. A lot of times we're taking off, but we're not taking off safely. And then we wonder why we do what? Crash and burn.
Wow. Somebody said God is preparing you.
God is preparing.
Somebody said God's preparing our church.
God's preparing our church.
Point number one, preparation is about positioning. Position. There's going to be 4 things that preparation is all about. It's about positioning, being in the right position.
Write it down.
You write it down, put it in your notes.
Screenshot it.
Look at the stream later, however you do it. Point 1, it says preparation is about positioning. But verse 11 of Matthew 22, it says, but when the king came in to see the guest, he noticed a man there who was not wearing wedding clothes. What does that say to you? What it says is before a plane can take off, it has to be in the right position. Before you can go somewhere in life, you've got to be in the right position. You've got to be prepared. The king noticed the man was not prepared for the situation. Could it be that we're simply not going places in life because we're not in the right dress attire for where we're going? We don't look like where we go. We don't dress like where we trying to go. We ain't fitted. We don't talk like where we want to be. But we're expecting God to show up and work a miracle in our life, and we're not in the right position. It says God calls many. Let me tell you, I'm going to give y'all a principle God gave me. God calls many people. He calls many people, but he chooses to prepare. I'm going to make that make sense in a minute. He calls many people. Everybody, matter of fact, everybody in this room, I'm sure, is called because you're here. But how many of you have really been chosen? And I'm not saying that God choosing you is a choice. I believe God chooses you when you're ready. Many of us are not ready to be chosen yet, so therefore we just simply are stuck in a position of call, which is not bad. 2 most important requirements of elevation are what? Being in the right place at the right time. Come on. I'm going to tell you this. When I'm talking about elevation, this is what happened to me. When I was working with Tyler Perry, I was at a jazz club. I was at Sambuca. Now, this is the part of the story I really don't tell a lot of, but I'm going to give y'all the truth. I was not playing the piano. I was sitting in a booth with my wife. Let me tell you, the band that was playing that night had rehearsed at my studio. They needed a place to rehearse. I did not charge them. I let them rehearse almost 8 times leading up to this gig because it was a big gig for them. And I sat there and I watched them rehearse. I supported them. I locked up, cut off all the lights, cut off all the heat, and made sure the last man was out. I took care of them. And guess what? I even went to the show just to show my support because I believed in what they were doing. So I showed up there, and Tyler Perry just happened to be sitting in the booth right across from me. And he said, I love that band. I wasn't even playing. I was there in support. By me being there in support, the guy that was playing the piano had just got a job as a dean of a college teaching music and could not go on tour. So guess who was in the right place?
Free.
Right time. People don't know that part of the story. See, they just see the end, the outcome. But let me tell you something. When God is ready to elevate you, ain't nothing no man can do to stop you. Ain't nothing that can get in between you and your destination. You just gotta walk directly into where He told you to be. I didn't do nothing fancy. I didn't play not one note. Yet still, I made almost $300,000 in 2 years playing the piano.
Amen.
I'm just giving you my testimony because there's something about being in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. I'm gonna add that too. Because sometimes you can be in the right place at the right time doing the wrong thing and it'll block your blessing. You end up missing what God got. But be in position. Somebody say, I'm in position.
I'm in
I'm in
position.
position.
So when the king came in, that means God is always seeking. It says, but when the king came in to do what?
See.
Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor.
Neighbor.
It's showtime, baby.
It's your time. I receive that too.
The thing is, we don't realize that everybody is looking. Even God is looking at us. He came to see the
It's your
guests.
time.
You would think that the guests came to see him. Oh, I'm preaching. Let me out saying. You don't understand the things that you're doing. God is always looking. He's looking to bless you. He's looking to take you to the next level. He's looking to get you where you need to be. He's looking to put people in the right position. He's looking to give you the right resources. He's looking to be that holy lady. He's looking to be in a relationship. He's looking to be that The king came in to see the guests. That means God is always scoping your surroundings. Who do you have as your neighbor? See, sometimes you can be in the right position at the right time and then you sit by the wrong person. He came to see the guest. It's all about your level of thinking too. You gotta come to the party expecting something. You gotta come into life expecting something. You gotta wake up every day expecting something. You gotta come into the hospital expecting something. It wasn't a coincidence that all the other guests was doing exactly what they needed to do when they needed to do it. The king, he was looking. How many of us really understand that God is looking at us? Say elevation. It's time to take off.
It's time for takeoff.
I'm telling you, it's nothing worse than being out of position. When God chooses your number, be in position. It's like being at the DMV, right? It's like, and you pull your tab and you sit there for 3 hours, and you like, and at one moment you got to use the bathroom. They call your number, and then you gone. That is like God is saying in this season. Listen, sit in position and prepare. So when I call your number, it's elevation time. Come on, somebody.
God just don't understand. There's something about Lady T. I am the most impatient person ever.
Yes, Lord. That's I said it out loud. That was my brain.
No, seriously, like I met one of the people this morning and said, you are a ball of fire, just sunshine. I'm always on the go. Boom, 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 boom. I can't even wait for the hot glue gun to just glue fast enough for me. I'm very impatient. But see, sometimes in life you have to learn to get in a position to sit still.
Ooh, I receive it.
Because sometimes you can move too fast before your number has already been called. Some of us bounce from one church to the next church. Some of us bounce to one relationship to the next relationship. Some of us bounce from one job to the next job. Some of us bounce from one vision to the next vision. And God didn't position us to do that.
Oh man, yeah.
See, the thing I want you guys to read, it says, see the guest, he noticed a man there who was not wearing what?
Wedding clothes.
I had to do my research. In Jewish tradition, right? It was an insult. And you say, well, why was it an insult? He probably just didn't have it. You know, come on, you gotta come as you are. Not here. Guess what?